Perfectionism and the wound of having to be and to do it better and better every day and to prove myself to others that I am worthy, that I am lovable, and that I am enough. The wound of the critic, the wound of the narcissistic person in my life. My name is Christina Junge. I'm a love and leadership mentor. I love for you to subscribe to my channel, and I want to talk about a really delicate theme which is very counterintuitive in relationships, and especially in the relationship with myself, and it's about perfectionism. It is this mask we are putting on to prove to everybody else that we are worth, that we are something, that we are lovable, that we can do what everybody else, or especially the people in our early upbringing, have thought ourselves to not be. Somebody, to not be seen ever, to not be loved, to not be perceived, to not belonging, to not having identity. This what was transmitted to us in a moment of a narcissistic relationship, a narcissistic parent, or dysfunctional relationships in our upbringing. This wound which was caused by the critic, by this person, having to tell us all over again that we are supposedly the guilty ones, that we are supposedly the ones who are having to do it all over again to prove that we are worthy of simply being around, of sharing our lives with somebody. And it was never assumed to us or by us that we are enough by ourselves. So we're trying to prove this all day long in our doing, in our performing, in our showing others that we are there, that we are worthy, that we are belonging, that we do have, let's say, an identity, that somebody would recognize us for something, like for at least being there, or in the end for doing things all the time really good. This is a deep wound, my dear people. If you like to, you can subscribe to this channel. And I want to talk about the cost of having to do everything over and over again to all the people who are showing up in our lives just because in our upbringing somebody made us feel or made us understand that we are not enough, that we are guilty of everything which shows up negatively in the lives of those people, okay? That we are not welcome in reality, that we are the victim or the black swan, I would like to say, in the family dynamics, because these people needed somebody to be the scapegoat, to be the person on whom to put all the responsibility for everything which went wrong in the dynamics or in their own lives, and especially in the relationship with this narcissistic person or an abusive person who in the end wants to cover up by making you feel guilty about something they are responsible for and covering up their own victimness in their lives. And it is really easy to victimize a person who is younger, who is there to be taken care of, who is there with all their trust and with all their love. You can say the love of a child, this innocence. And breaking this person by using critic all the time, by criticizing this child, by making this child feel guilty, by making this child feel that them understand. It's not an understanding, it's to make them feel that they are not enough, that they will never be good enough, that they are not capable, and they will never be loved until they will fulfill and perform how this narcissistic person wants them to be, how this narcissistic person all the time requires them to be, to get, let's say, their thumb up or their recognition, just that they are there, the acknowledgement that they are there. And not even this you get from a narcissistic person if you were the victim, the chosen victim in the family. You had to do it all over again, every single day, proving yourself to be there, to be lovable, to be worthy, to be acknowledged, to have identity, to have personality, to have something, to be a person, to be seen, that somebody would like turn their face towards you. And it was only to tell you that you're not enough and that you don't do things the way they expect you to do. And even if you did them better and better and better, they will always tell you that you are not enough, and that if something goes wrong in the family dynamics, you are the guilty one of it. And you can never do things right in these dynamics. You can never be the person who fixes the dynamic by being better, by showing who you are, by showing up, by delivering all the time. It's almost like a slavey thing where you come with this, with these hands full of all those gifts, where you tell this person, just accept me now, just release me out of these dynamics of having to prove myself. Just love me in the end. Just recognize me. And it will never be there. If you are a perfectionist, and if people have told you, and if you are telling people that you are, it is probably because you are, because people know. And people might have said to you, don't be so hard on yourself, don't, just let go. Don't be so controlling. Don't try to do it all over again. Don't be so anxious about it. And you will know. And I'm just going to tell you in this video, it is not beautiful, but I need to tell you this, that your perfectionism is not about excellence. Your perfectionism is to show others that you are worthy, that you are there, that you are lovable for what you do. At least for what you do, because you have internalized that it is not enough who you are. Everybody in your family dynamics probably, or at least some people, have made you understood that you as a person are not worthy of attention, of love, of spending time with you, of telling you that you're good enough at things, or that you can learn. And even if you're not good enough, or if you're not perfect at things, that you can advance in life, and that you will be accompanied on this way of understanding how to do things better in the end. There was nobody there. There was nobody there who told you it is enough who you are. And in the end, I also have to tell you, it is not that there was nobody there, but the percentage, let's say, like this 1% of people in your life, maybe a teacher, maybe a grandmother, maybe an uncle, or maybe whatever, a sibling or a neighbor or somebody in the family environment. Maybe somebody made you feel that you are accepted, that you are beautiful, that you are lovable, that you are fine just the way you are. But it was probably so loud, the rest of the 99%, which was like bombing down on you, that you are not enough and that you are being criticized all day long and forever, whatever you do. This might not have made up for it. But if you want to, you can change this perspective and try to make big what, when you remember, if you remember, and you probably will remember when you try to make big in your mind, in your memory, and in your, how this feels, those memories of people who would tell you, you are enough and you are beautiful, who wanted to lift you up and who wanted to be there with you and who were listening to you and who were around and who loved you to be there. Okay? If you try to expand this knowledge about people and about situations even only, when you understood that you were good, you were okay, you were fine to just be there, you might interiorize this also, and you might impress your subconscious mind with new information and not with this information which is coming out of this box, out of this safe, as I always say, where all your negative feelings are guarded in, that they wouldn't defund into the upper layers where your subconscious is and then into your conscious mind, that you didn't have to get in contact with those feelings. And you can, let's say, contrast those feelings of unworthiness, of being unloved, of not being there, just being invisible, or being always the scapegoat, always the guilty one, by making and remembering often and feeling how somebody in your environment, as an adult, as in any stage of your life, was telling you that you are good. The problem is that if you learn from very early on that you are not enough and that you have to prove yourself constantly, you probably developed in the relationships in itself a pattern where you simply assume that it is like this and that you can only be liked or seen or beloved or recognized or acknowledged by doing things really well, by being a high achiever, by being excellent at things you're doing. And one thing is to be excellent, is to try to do your best and give everything and find out any resources possible to give your best and to do your best. And another thing is perfectionism. Perfectionism is for others. And excellence is in reality for yourself. It's also for others. You will also get the thumb up from other people. But perfectionism is something you have to do it over and over and over again to define your self-image, to define your self-confidence, to define your self-love, which isn't there, But by being mirrored, this recognition from other people who will then tell you, oh, how great you do this, or this is really good, so, well, I saw that, thumb up for that. And in the end, you will never feel this love, because they would have to give it to you all over again, and you stay empty inside of yourself, because in the end you don't love yourself, because you weren't filled up with love, you weren't filled up with self-confidence, you weren't filled up with self-respect, you weren't filled up with self-worth. Okay, do you get the difference? So perfectionism grew on critic. You were criticized, you were held guilty, you were held responsible for things other people were responsible of. And if you know that you are a perfectionist, you should think back to how you were evaluated by the people who were in reality hurting you, and you know who it was, and to distance yourself from it and to start filling yourself up with self-love, with recognition, and not only for what you're doing, okay? Also for what you're doing. But you need to find a way now to love yourself, to recognize how beautiful you are inside and outside, how sensitive you are, how what a survivor you are, how special you have become, how your individual talents are so great if you have developed them or not, and to develop them and to discover them. and to be there for yourself, and to love your body, and to love your way of dressing, and to love your way of having your hair, and to love the way you're talking, the way your posture is, the way you're driving, the way you're whatever it is you're eating, because these people probably have criticized you on all of those aspects, which are very much which are you in essence, which are your entire being, nothing which is changeable, or your character, or how you feel, and these things. So getting up against perfectionism is getting up against the critic you have received in your childhood, in your upbringing, in your adolescence, in your adulthood, then later, and to understand that this critic wasn't justified, and that you can today fill yourself up with love and be very, very, very attentive to how you now criticize yourself, and how you now self-talk to yourself in that you are not enough, that you don't do things right, and that you have to get better, or that you will have to present all the time how you performed, how you were doing things good and great, just to get this fill every time, again and again. And it's not right, It is somehow right, but not to get it from others, to fill yourself up with these ideas that you are enough, that what you're doing is okay, and to start entering into a feeling of you being enough, you being there, and to connect to your feelings, because in the end it will be a way of connecting with this box of this safe, of hurt and of painful feelings, and obviously of anger, and of self-doubt, and of guilt, and of denial, and just try to be there in your body. Try to detect when you now critic yourself, when you are now the one who is repeating what they have infused into you, as if it was a part of you, as if you had it in all the streams of your blood, in all the streams of your brain, obviously, that you still believe and repeat these things in your mind, or in your body even, because it does cause like neurotransmitters which are like going through your body and making you again in return, by thinking in a way, let's say, negative about yourself, they will in return make you feel this way, okay? So you need to be very, very careful with this, and to try to build yourself up with respect, with love, with indulgence, with being present, with holding yourself, holding this child. I'm always talking about this, holding this inner child, to be there for it, especially when at those moments when those strong feelings are coming up of self-doubt, of fear, of anxiety, of depression, of wanting to escape now, of all the escapes which are resulting, how you have learned to make yourself feel good by drinking, by eating sugars all the time, by risky sexuality, by risky behaviors, by overworking, by over-exercising, by you name it, and you need to detect also when these feelings are coming up, and when those behaviors are coming up which you are using to make yourself happy again, because the emptiness is getting too big. And one of the behaviors can be to do things over and over and over again, to make them perfect. Whatever you do, just trying to do it because you feel you have to prove your worth all the time, right? And to be really careful with it, to being obsessed by having to perform, having to function, having to show what and who you are, and being just really compulsive at certain behaviors, which are the result of your emptiness. Can you follow with that? Can you relate to that? Yeah. So be careful with perfectionism. It is like a beautiful mask, like a beautiful armor of, look, I'm enough, I'm good, you can see, you can tell, I am good, will you tell me, And in the end, it's just like this entire insecurity inside of yourself, which is asking for approval, which is asking for being recognized, which is asking for being loved in the end, being belonging somewhere, having identity, because the identity you had was never built. It was broken in the end because you could never belong to those people. You're not in their flock, They were like you're not belonging here. You're strange. You're always wrong, But understand that this was let's say a tactic, to hide that they, in the end, felt so rotten, that they had to look for somebody to cover all those family dynamics of dysfunctional behaviors and feelings, and to have, in the end, somebody who would be guilty of everything and responsible. Obviously, you're not responsible, but that you were held responsible for every bad step anybody in the family would do, or every lurking feeling around, which was somehow negative, and that would be around there all the time, because those are the dynamics, once they are there, Just be there for yourself. Just listen into yourself. Just check when your perfectionism comes up. Check what's happening inside of you. Be there for yourself. Hold yourself. Hold this inner child, which is just really this box of dark emotions, which have been guarded in there because you didn't know where to put them. You didn't know how to resolve them. You weren't listened to. You weren't the person to be able to say something about it, or to tell your truths, or to ask that you were given an answer, or that you were being taken seriously. Now it's your turn. You got to do it now. And be careful of how you critique yourself. Okay? Don't do it. Don't do it. Be indulgent with yourself, Tell yourself, that doesn't matter. This is self-talk too, That doesn't matter. The next time you do it better. Don't, flagellate yourself. Don't feel guilty. Don't get on down on yourself with telling you that you're not enough, that you will never do it, and rumoring if things, if people have noticed, and if they think about it all the time. Nobody cares. You're the one who cares, because nobody filled love into your body, into your heart, into your soul, into this beautiful person and being that you are. Okay. I hope this helped a little bit in understanding perfectionism, how it is related to critic, to the inner critic, and how it is related to trying to do better because you feel bad, because you are empty, because you have this emotional void, and how it is related to narcissism and to fall back into narcissistic relationships over and over again. Why? Because you know the dynamics, and you still have the emptiness unless you fill it. And this is the perfect substrato, the perfect soil, put it like this, for abusers, for people who will feel you and who will pick on you in the same wound. They will smell you. And the only way you can get out of it is filling yourself up with a bunch of self-love, self-acceptance, self-indulgence, and to just be there for yourself, especially when strong feelings are coming up. Okay? If you're interested in coaching, there's an email address, christina@christinajunge.com. You can write to me, and I can see if I can get you in somehow. And I love for you to subscribe and to get give me your thumb up, and to put something in the comments what you have understood about it, or what your experiences are. Check the video out, which is coming up, and I love to have you here. Take much care of yourself. I love you, folks. Bye.